One of the reasons I'm so excited about what Meld's doing is if you look at just America's largest 10 banks, you can see that the amount of assets on record is about $12 trillion. I'm excited about this project, Meld. It's been hyped up pretty well, and there's a couple of real interesting tidbits that I hope to hit on that maybe you've seen before, maybe you haven't. But it's going to be launching here probably in December, and they're just finishing up right now their initial stake pool offering, and there's one public sale that's going to occur here. I'll get to that in a moment, and that's the best way to get the Meld tokens prior to them launching, and it's probably the only opportunity to get them prior to them going into the public market. So similar to like what an IPO would be in the stock market, initial public offering, they're having an initial coin offering or initial DeFi offering here. So we'll get right into the protocol. As you can see, there was over 600 million ADA. That's the Cardano token that were staked into the Meld pools. There was 10 Meld pools, and altogether, they're going to be awarding 100 million Meld tokens to people who initially staked in their pools. A little bit about how Meld works. It's the banking DeFi network on top of Cardano, and it basically is a banking system set up to bank the unbanked, and it's really pretty powerful what they're trying to do here. We'll see how well they execute, but their team has raised $30 million so far in a private offering. They have the initial stake pool offerings, which is probably going to raise another $30 million or so. So their war chest is going to be pretty well stocked. They are going to be doing a lot of development here, and we'll get into some of that. If you haven't read about what they do or how they do it, in their doc section is really great documentation about what they're trying to do, how they're doing it, how everything's supposed to work. They are going to be setting up this application that's going to be mobile specific for iOS and Android that allows people to basically stake fiat currency, so dollars, euros, those types of things, earn interest on them like you would if you put it into a bank, but also to allow you to borrow against your crypto assets. So you don't have to sell your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Cardano. You can stake those into basically the Meld system, into a smart contract, be able to borrow fiat currency, so up to 50% of the value, and then get that wired directly into your bank account. So if you have $1 million in Bitcoin, you don't necessarily want to sell Bitcoin because you think it's going to go up to $2 million. You can borrow money against that Bitcoin up to 500,000. Say if you owned $1 million worth of Bitcoin, it would still stay in your wallet. You would still have control over it as long as that asset doesn't depreciate in value. So the Bitcoin didn't go down, so that it was 85 or 75 or 50% of its initial value. You continue to own that Bitcoin and can continue to ride the wave up with it. So in the meantime, that Bitcoin would be used as a borrowing collateral so that they would wire those funds directly into your bank account. So if you wanted to borrow dollars for your Bitcoin, you could have $500,000 wired directly into your bank account, whatever that may be. So a really powerful tool. There's a really great diagram that really shows how the protocol works, what goes into it, the fiat lenders, the fiat borrowers, the crypto interface and smart contracts in between, how everything gets rewarded, the interest rates associated with things that are going to basically create liquidity pools so that if you want to lend your crypto assets, there's always the ability to borrow and lend and be able to get fiat currencies for the crypto assets that you do have. There's going to be yield farming involved with that, and there's a lot of real interesting topics that go into yield farming and some of the interest rates and things that you'll be able to get from those. And you'll also too have the ability to have a credit card or a debit card on top of the Meld application. So you can use your credit or debit card to borrow fiat money against your crypto assets, similar to like if you were just to take out a specific personalized loan for them. So there's going to be a lot of really cool benefits to being able to use the Meld app and be able to really leverage your crypto assets and be able to take advantage of not having to sell them and liquidate and move everything into a fiat currency, but be able to borrow against them, assuming that they're going to go up in value. And one of the really cool things about Bitcoin, and one of the things that was alluded to in their white paper, is that it's gone up 36% year over year since its inception. So if you're getting anything less than 30% and 36% interest rates, then obviously borrowing against your Bitcoin would be a much bigger advantage than having to sell it and then try to buy it back later at a different price. So the entire white papers, everything that you need to know about Meld is basically on their website. They have a 56-page white paper as well that really goes into the ins and outs of how Meld works. Their decentralized application that they're going to use that's mobile is going to look similar to what's shown here. It's going to be a typical mobile app that you can log into your Meld account. You can see what your assets are, what your balances are. You can borrow, you can lend, you can stake them for assets, get rewards, that type of thing. That's in the process of being developed right now. It's supposed to be rolled out here in the fourth quarter, and that'll be kind of your gateway to getting in and out of the application. You can utilize it obviously to be able to see similar to what you would on a banking application right now or on a trading application. I actually staked some of my ADA into one of the Meld delegation pools. It's closed now. They're actually finishing it up, and it'll be done on December 4th, I believe, is the last epoch that's going to be on the Meld pools. They are basically paying out Meld rewards based on how many rewards you would get from staking your ADA and delegating it into their pools. As I mentioned, they have 10 staking pools, and they were all pretty much full. Each pool had about 60 to 64, 65 million ADA in it. So they were really well received, and they're raising a lot of money from this and going to be awarding a lot of Meld tokens from it. So the last way to get Meld tokens prior to their initial DeFi offering is through Vent Finance, which is a partner of Meld. And Vent Finance is offering the ability to buy, I believe it's going to be about $500 worth of Meld for, their initial public offering here. If you go into the event application, you can see they're actually just like a launch pad, similar to what other launch pads are. You can see the whitelisted projects. The project over here, Meld has their offering, and there's not a whole lot of details, but you can see that they're going to be raising about $1,250,000 in terms of US dollars. And the token price, I believe, is going to be 2.5 cents each. So, this is an opportunity to stake some Vent tokens to be able to participate in the Meld IDO here and be able to hopefully get those tokens again prior to them opening up their token trading and seeing where the markets actually balance them out at. So if you want to, you can get involved with the Meld raise here through Vent Finance. One of the reasons I'm so excited about what Meld's doing is if you look at just America's largest 10 banks, you can see that the amount of assets on record is about $12 trillion. And that is a huge amount of money. JP Morgan Chase is the biggest one with about $4 trillion in assets. And these are the largest US banks. If you've had any experience with some of these large banks, I'm sure it's probably been negative. The worst, in my opinion, is Bank of America, but Wells Fargo has gone through a ton of scandals, Citigroup. All of these banks are incredibly large and incredibly difficult to deal with and really take advantage of people and getting fees and not providing the best service and basically making money off of what you don't really want to have happen, which is as a bank account holder, you want to be able to put your money in and earn interest off of it. And right now there hasn't been, much, if any, interest paid on any accounts for about the last 15 years or so. So you're basically just lending your money out to these large banks at 0% interest, and they're turning around and lending it out to other people as mortgage rates or credit cards, that type of thing, and getting 10, 12, 15, 20%, depending on what they're lending it out at. So JP Morgan Chase has about 50,000 or so customers, middle-class market customers, and they probably have about, a couple million or so total customers in their banking system. So that just gives you an idea. Having $4 trillion in assets, obviously they have some high net worth individuals and other things as well. But the customer count that they've got is, in the low millions of customers that they have that utilize their banking services. Meld has the opportunity through what it's doing to realistically get tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of users. And the way they're going to do that is a number of different ways. They form some really great partnerships. And if you've been watching the news lately, you know that the biggest talk is how Facebook is actually rebranding themselves as Metaverse. And Facebook knows that the writing's on the wall, that their social media time is going to come to an end here, and they want to really create the next big thing. And they know that people will be spending more and more time in the metaverse as time goes on. Meld has a partnership with Netvrk, which is a large metaverse company currently building their product online. They're really looking to create the next big thing when it comes to people's living, gaming, social habits. And Meld has the ability to be a banking stack inside of a metaverse, which, trust me, I would have never thought anything I'd be talking about such anything about 5 years ago. But there are a lot of different technologies and solutions that will be coming online here in the next couple of years that people probably never even thought about before. Metaverse is being a huge portion right now. As you can see, Netvrk has sold out of all of their initial NFTs that they've offered, some of them thousands of dollars. So people are clamoring to get into the metaverse, and they have partnerships with, I think, over 60 different companies right now, different blockchains, hundreds of investors. Their team is growing significantly, and Meld's right on this list. They could provide banking services inside of a metaverse, which includes lending services. So say you're buying a piece of virtual land, which is a big deal right now when it comes to several of these metaverses, Decentraland, Sandbox, Netvrk. People are paying upwards of 10, 20. In fact, I saw a piece of land sell for $900,000. And that's just a virtual piece of land. So it's bits and bytes inside of a computer. But an NFT basically is the underlying asset that you get, shows the unique ability to own that piece of land. And what Meld is saying is that they can lend on that asset based on the fact that you paid a market value, and therefore it can be appraised, and you can borrow against things. So you're basically getting a mortgage as it would be on a virtual piece of land. So one of the really cool things that they're doing, and there could be millions and millions of people in Netvrk here in the next couple of years, which is a really cool thing. The other really neat thing that Meld has is a partnership with World Mobile, and World Mobile is a big partner of Cardano. They're in the process of really making the digital world available to people that currently don't have any connectivity. They're starting off in Tanzania, and they've already set up connections for over 1 million people, and they have about 60,000 right now that are using the World Mobile Network. They're supposed to have over 100,000 or so by the end of the year, and then millions starting in 2022. Several other countries other than Tanzania have said, hey, we want this as well. So they've already got 5 or 6 additional countries in the pipeline to set up services for. Their goal is to have hundreds of millions of people by the end of the decade. And the cool thing about World Mobile is that they're running on the Cardano blockchain, but Meld is a partner with World Mobile. So many, if not all of these people, don't have any access to financial services. And Meld could become the financial services company, the bank, if you will, for all of these people that currently don't have the ability at all to have banking services. So that's a really cool aspect. There's 1.3 billion people in Africa, and I believe that over 3 or 4 billion people in the world do not have financial services, banking services. The nice thing about Meld is that it's completely decentralized. So you don't have to have offices, you don't have to have people, you don't have to have staff. Basically, all you have is a banking platform that allows people to utilize their services, their lending services, their yield farming services, and their ability to bank, basically. And you don't have to show them any know your customer rules, no KYC, no anything like that. You connect your wallet to it. You can use all of the Meld services just like you can for almost anything else decentralized in the crypto space. Ken Olling is the CEO. He's done several different talks. I posted one about his last Ask Me Anything, and very interesting to hear about Meld's direction, what they're doing, how they're getting there. This is his talk at the Cardano Summit last month, and really excited to find that Meld is going to be offering all of these financial services to the general public and to the unbanked out there. So it's a really cool way to get involved with a project that has a lot of utility, for people all throughout the world. And it gives you the ability to not have to worry about dealing with these big banks and large financial institutions that are bogged down and charge fees and are basically corporations that are out there to get as much money as they possibly can, and don't have any regard, as we know, for our financial system, as was brought about in 2008 and before, when they basically were too big to fail. But I'm hoping that companies like Meld will start to come up through the ecosystem and through the crypto space and start to permeate into the underserved markets, and then pretty much go mainstream. And the market ability is just absolutely enormous. I believe that there's 1 billion tokens that Meld is going to be minting, and they're going to be rolled out over a certain time frame. You can find out all about that in their white paper, but there'll only be 1 billion of them. So it's basically like owning a piece of any of these large lending institutions prior to them going public. So that's my talk about what Meld is, what it's doing, all the really cool things that are out there. But if you've got any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them for you. You can either unmute yourself or put them in the chat. And if you don't, feel free to put a comment down below. Make sure that you like the format. If you're watching this on video on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. And I look forward to continuing to grow the Cardano community and to be able to educate and hopefully inform people about what's going on, what's getting developed, and what the opportunities are that basically allow people to do things that they've never been able to do before. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what's going to be available in Cardano and in DeFi space and everything as a whole. And I learn more and more each day, and I'm excited about sharing it with you. And I hope that you got something great from it. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys all again soon. Well, great. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Again, if you liked everything, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, share this with other people so that they can find out about it as well. And I look forward to seeing you on the next meetup.